Welcome to SellYourMusicalInstruments.com. We put together this video to help people find out what they need to know when selling their accordion. Many of the people we buy accordions from don't know much about them. They tell us they're big, they're heavy, they take up space, maybe they found them in an attic or a basement. Others have played them in the past but have not played them for many years and want to sell them before they're in need of too much repair. I'd like to talk to you about what we look for when we inspect an accordion that's being shipped to us from around the United States or brought into one of our locations for appraisal or possible sale. We buy so many accordions we thought we would put together an instructional video and go through a checklist so you can inspect your instrument before shipping it to us and determine any defects that might affect the value of your accordion. There are three ways we buy instruments. The first and best way for us to determine the value of an accordion is to see it in person at one of our 3 shop locations in Connecticut or Massachusetts. Next, if you can't get to us, we can come to you and evaluate your instrument. And thirdly, we understand that not everyone is in New England or close enough to one of our affiliates to do that, so we put together this submission form for you to fill out and send to us to get the process started. This form can be found at SellYourMusicalInstruments.com under the Sell Your Gear tab. Watch this video on what we look for, fill out the form, and send it off to us, and we will get back to you quickly with a quote. Call us at 508-688-5138 to get directions to one of our repair shops or to set up an appointment for us to come to you. There are so many moving parts on an accordion, it is rare that we buy one that does not need at least some servicing before being listed for sale. We buy all styles and types of accordions in any condition: piano, button, concertinas, new, old, vintage, working, many that need repair and some that we use only for parts. Most of the accordions we buy are made in Italy or Germany. Now let's go over the parts. There are many brands and models of accordions, and like most instruments, the value of the instrument can vary greatly depending on the brand and model. The brand is usually displayed across the front of the accordion. The model number can sometimes be found on the bottom back below the 120 bass section. Just like a car, features and condition have a lot to do with an accordion's value. When we open the case, the first thing we notice is the cosmetic condition. Does the accordion still have its polished shine? Are there any cracks in the plastic? Are there any embellishments missing? Are the bellows, latches, and locks still intact? Next, we look at the keys. Are they all level or do they need to be reset? The key rods are made of a soft metal and can become uneven or bent. They are very fragile, so we use a special tool to reset the rods without damaging them or breaking them. Do any of the keys stick? Sometimes the keys can get knocked out of line or the springs may need to be adjusted. Dirt and grime get in the keys and they stick to the metal dowel and they can become stiff or move very slowly. Sometimes the wooden keys break and they need to be replaced. With so many vintage brands and models, it is very hard to locate the correct parts for replacement. Next, check out the treble and bass selects. The selects often stick due to dirt and grime. The metal hole cover slides inside the accordion often seize up and need to be freed. Sometimes the gears break or the plastic chips, and that can cause problems. Sometimes all it needs is some lubrication or a spring replacement. Most of the accordions we buy have 120 bass buttons on the back end. They are delicate and get stuck easily and sometimes need to be straightened. The plastic buttons can also wear out. The insides also need to be re-lubricated in order for the buttons to move freely. If they get out of sequence, it is a nightmare to try to get them back in order. Next, we check the bellows to see if they are airtight. Sometimes cracks develop or they might be weak from use or age. Once in a while the metal corner protectors come loose or they are missing entirely. If all the pins are not in place, that will also affect the bellows. Mold and mildew can also get in the bellows and stain or weaken them. It is just about impossible to get rid of that smell once it gets in there. We quickly check the straps to see the condition of the leather. Sometimes there are cracks in it due to age, sometimes they are broken, or the buckles are rusted and don't come loose for adjustment. All of this happens before we even play a note. At this point, we begin to check every note. Most accordions have multiple reed blocks and they all need to be tested. Just because the C note plays on one of the settings does not necessarily mean that it will play on all the settings. Just because a reed sounds when the bellows are pulled out does not necessarily mean that it will play when they are pushed in. Many accordions have more than 500 individual reeds and they all need to work. There are many reasons that a note will not sound. A broken metal reed, missing kinked or curled leather reed covers, loose, cracked, or melted wax from being stored in an attic, rusty or dirty reeds from being stored in a basement. Dead notes are the most common defect we see, and each note needs to be painstakingly corrected in order for the accordion to play. That said, just because a note plays does not mean that it plays in tune. Over time, the notes can change and the instrument will need to be cleaned and tuned, much like a piano. Sometimes a note will keep sounding even when no keys are pressed. This wheezing can occur if the felt pads are not completely covering the sound holes inside. The felt may be worn, the stems may be bent, or there might be some loose wax on the pad. These are a few of the reasons this can happen, and sometimes be very difficult to repair. We also check the case to make sure that all the latches work and the handle is strong. A good number of accordions people sell us have an electronic microphone pickup system. This technology is older and many times the volume or tone pots are noisy or don't work. Sometimes there are loose wires or a faulty input jack, and sometimes the microphones just don't work. So there you have it. As you can see, with an instrument with so many moving parts in it, some service will be required to get an older accordion up and running. I hope this checklist will help you in determining what to look for when buying or selling an accordion. Remember, there are 3 ways we buy instruments. The best way is for you to bring the instrument to one of our 3 locations in Connecticut or Massachusetts. We also come to you and evaluate your instrument. And lastly, fill out the submission form at sellyourmusicalinstruments.com under the Sell Your Gear tab and send it off to us and we will get back to you quickly with a quote. Remember, we buy and repair all instruments, not just accordions. Feel free to contact us with any questions you might have or if you want to sell your accordion or any other instrument for that matter. Print out this checklist and use it when going over your accordion. Thanks for watching.